Good morning, Rabbi Sai. Leilui Nishmasi Mimirosi Rusus Mordechai. The one's coming in slowly. Baruch Hashem. Welcome all the guests. We have a parnassa yoim. Leilui Nishmas Michal Ahova Bas Gad V'Yehudis Kabesa by Meir Dambi. And we're going out of order a little bit. But Rabbi Sai, Motzi Shabbos, we have two live places in Flatbush, the usual base measures of Monastrich, and in Jackson. Jackson. You're from Jackson, no? Yes, sir. You know this place? What is this? I don't know what this is. Tom's River. Enjoy some pizza. Oh, it's at somebody's house. Arnon Aronov. Okay, Givaldik. I received this email in Hebrew. It's pretty emotional. My name is Aaron Kovner. I'm a yeshiva bacher, and I want to share my story with you. When I was in Cheder, I'm going to skip through it. Basically, he says he's a pretty smart guy, but he never made it in yeshiva. He never had good chavrusas. It was always bad for him. But one day, his brother told him, why don't you try to finish Shas before you get married? He thought he's Meshuggah. And he started doing the shir with us. And he started Psachim. And he finished, in 1 year, he finished 4 Masechtas. And it really changed his life. And he asked me to come to his siyum. So I'm thinking wow, it's a big chizuk, I'll come to his siyum. And then I took a look at the invitation, and it says that it's Vayas Noach Kechol Shetzivo Hashem. This email came in 3 months ago, and I got it yesterday somehow. So I have to ask him Mechila. And then his mom pipes in here. I don't know if she wants. Kitzer, his mother sent me an email also, because I read it last night. So his mother sent me an email. She says, you should know, you saved my son's life, and you saved my life. That's what she says. I don't know exactly. She says, okay, so Givaldik. Beautiful. This is also very emotional to me. This is in a matzah bakery by Shimi Braun. On the wall is 2 Daf Gemara, 2 Amudim. This is not staged. So he wrote to me today, this guy. He says that he has a hard time. I think he's more of a Baal Tshuva, and he has a hard time with the reading, and he's working on his reading and Rashi and Kitzer. So he's steiging away as he's. It doesn't get any more Lishma than that. You start off Lishma, you don't have to do the entire second. He's also he's thinking and learning. Everything's Lishma. Here's another one. I got so many emails yesterday in Hebrew, very, very emotional emails. This one, with a translation, this individual started giving Daf Yomi when he was 24 years old, and today he's about 40. And he's also a Rebbe in a yeshiva Ktana, which means a high school here in Eretz Yisrael. In recent weeks, he discovered the shir, and he was captivated by it. Comes from the heart. He always, for years, he felt this passion to call out to every Yid, come learn the Daf Yomi, transform your life and your wife's life, and your family's life, just like it transformed mine. How could you live without learning Torah? Suddenly you hear you saying the same thing with enthusiasm. Your message is so important. Your emphasis that it's not about the Daf, it's about the Yomi. Your insistence that you not make up the Daf later, that you make it up the later, but you learn today. It's truly Geshmak. So he says one lesson he learned from me as a Magichir, because it's hard. If anybody ever tried to give a shir, you'll see, I think I actually advise every single person, including you, Dr. Epstein, try to, one day, you should just take it upon yourself as how do you say it? As a challenge. Everybody here, Donnie, here as a challenge. Give a Daf Yomi shir. Just one time. Prepare for, hey, Kos, look who's behind you. Donnie, look who's behind you. Shalom Aleichem. So, Try it. Prepare for a few hours, a few days maybe, and give a shir. You'll have a different appreciation. So here's a guy that gives it every day, and he's like, be a person of MS without gimmicks and pretenses. Don't be ashamed. Try to laugh and cry. Be sensitive. But he says what he learned, the big insight is that, when I was in Shalom Aleichem, when I was in Utah and the shiur were not so Geshmak, and get prepared. It's going to happen again soon, Beis Hashem. I'll have to go back to Utah because the snow's schwach. I don't know if I'll go skiing. I don't know if that's... I have to go visit my daughter. And I have to sacrifice a shtickle. Shiur weren't so Geshmak, they're under pressure. But sometimes you have to say to yourself, the kids have to go skiing, the family comes first, It gives me a whole thing here. Fine. And he loves the charts. Reb Eli, you have to say Shalom Aleichem. Shalom, what's your name? Ari what? Greenwald. You're the famous Ari Greenwald, Reb Eli. Ari Greenwald was in Gaza for months, and he always did the daf. Reb Eli, Ari Greenwald. He's a shy guy. Mike, he's shy. Wow. Yeah, no, get over here. Could I give you a hug? I need to give you a hug. Anybody want to come here and give him a hug also? Shalom Aleichem. Thank you so much for everything you've done. Klal Yisrael loves you. Hey! Tell us about the daf. You're able to do the daf every day?
Yeah, I have in my machlaka, we're like 35 guys. We have around 8 guys that are doing the daf.
8 guys? 8 guys.
8 guys, yeah. Every day. One Gemara.
In Gaza?
In Gaza.
One Gemara.
One Gemara going around, yeah.
You need Gemaras? We have some extra Gemaras here.
We just got now. We got the...
Now that you left, you got the Gemara.
We just got now.
Wow. So tell me the hardest time you did a daf. Like you were like about to fall asleep, 2 a.m. Any good Geshmak Maisis? Just finished killing a bunch of terrorists?
For a while, and then we got moved to do a mission, so during Hanukkah, so it was a tough time because we didn't really have a lot of time there. So snuck in some learning. 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there, or you were able to do the whole daf in a shot? It was like half. Like one.
Unbelievable. Your inspiration, your shkoyach, thank you so much. All right. Mike, you should be very proud.
I am very proud.
Gewaldic. Unbelievable. And you're happy he's home now, huh? Wow.
His brother is still there, but...
All right, Rabbi, so we got to go. There's a lot of emails here and a lot of Geshmak stuff. The Masechta sponsor Refuah Shelaima for Yosef Chaim Shmuel Ben Alte Nechama from his grateful family. The Masechta sponsor for Atzlacha Berukhniyos V'Gashmi sponsored the Masechta Larry Cohn in memory of Yechiel Moshe Ben Chaim V'Yet, who started learning Daf Yomi at age 70 and continued 32 years. The Masechta sponsor for the unity of the Yiddish people. Parnassa Chodesh, Leilui Zechraya Ben Moshe, Leilui Chaya Bas Yosef. Parnassa Chodesh, Yosef Ben Chaim, Sara for parnassa berevach. Parnassa Chodesh is zechus for our children and tremendous parnassa. Parnassa Chodesh, Leilui Nishmat, Yafa Bat Simcha, Refuah Shelaima, Yisrael Yaakov Ben Malka. Parnassa Shavua, Naftuly Kraus should be a zechus for Reb Eli to continue making learning Geshmak. Zechus for Siyata Dishmaya, Yiddish Nachas, Shalom Bayis, enjoy, remember, and teach Torah. Parnassa Refuah and Atzlacha. Parnassa Shavua, Elliot Hagler, in honor of completing my 5th cycle of the daf, and my cats who just started the daf, he's 5 cycles behind, but I'll catch up soon. Parnassa Hayoim, Reuven Epstein, L'zeich Nishmat, Rav Moshe Yaakov and Rav Reuven by his children. Yortzeit is the 9th of Tevis. Parnassa Hayoim, Meir Dambi from RBS, Leilui Nishmas, Michal Bas Gad V'Yudas Kebesa. I said already, twice. The art of the month for zechus for Reb Eli and the whole MDY staff to continue to make Torah so enjoyable for so many. And the art of the month in honor of Yossi Klein and Mark Ashkenazi for all the work they do. Boys, we're starting a brand new parak. Brand new parak. There's a concept called Zabla. You might have heard of it. And that is if you have it in Torah, you pick one dayan, the other guy picks one dayan, and together you pick a 3rd dayan. That's Zabla. So that's what we're going to get to. But when we start the Mishnah, we could learn the Mishnah differently. And that's what Gemara is all about, really. It's not a Shulchan Aruch. It's not going to say, oh, Zabla, straight out and tell you the Maskana. It's going to go through all the steps to see how we got there. How do we know this concept of Zabla, of each person choosing one. We have a Mishnah, and from the Mishnah it's not so clear. Shalom Aleichem. You look familiar. You were here before.
Yeah.
Many times.
Yeah.
You've been here for 2 years. Every day.
No.
No, not really. Okay, wow. Woo. What's your name again?
Yishai.
Yishai, Shalom Aleichem. Okay, great. Oh, I have to show you this. This is a famous painting by Rembrandt. Is that's how you pronounce it? You see on the, now we know what it says on the wall, Mina Mina Tekal Ufarsin. There's a hand coming out and writing on the wall. So now it's finally understood to us. Nobody else understands it, but okay, we get it.
He misspelled it, but you read it.
He did? Mina Mina. Oh, you mean the guy writing it? David Fisher from Teaneck, New Jersey. Okay, shkoyach, David. Somebody else, some Yushalmi comes over to me yesterday. He goes, "There's a famous painting. There's some women in it, and is like that's mamish the sugya." Like what? What are you talking about? And then I get it from a guy from Teaneck, and then I understood the Yerushalmi from last night. Okay.
The original Rembrandt, he painted other women's faces as well.
No, this is the original. I didn't do anything. I didn't put those white circles there. Says the Gemara, when you have it in Torah, 3. How do you do it? Says Rashi that if we want to start with the Gemara and understanding the Gemara, so we understand it with the Havamin of the Gemara, and that is that Ruvain and Shimon have a fight, the guy on the right and the guy on the left. So Ruvain picks a bezdin and Shimon picks a bezdin. So a total of 6. And together they pick a third bezdin. That's, if you want to say a Havamina, that's the Havamina. Then we're going to see that's not like that. It's 1, each person picks 1, and then for a total of 3. But that's the Havamina. Typical Gemara, we have to go through the steps and see why this doesn't work. Or maybe this is what the Mishnah meant. No, it's not what the Mishnah meant. I'll prove to you that this is not what the Mishnah meant. Yesterday we had a Gadata. Today we don't have a Gadata. That's how it goes. One day like this, one day like that. Don't drop out of the shir because it's not a Gadata today. We'll have a Gadata the next day. So, that's Remeir. Chacham say, Shnei Dayam Barim Lo Yodechad. It works like this, according to the Havamina. Each person chooses a bezdin. From the bezdin, 1 dayan from here and 1 dayan from here, they choose a third bezdin. So total we have 3 bati dinim. But who chose the third bezdin? Not the 2 bali din, not Reuven and Shimon, but rather dayanim. That's just the Havamina. Zeh poisel dayan shazeh, v'zeh poisel dayan shazeh, divir Remeir. Remeir says, each guy, the guy on the right, the guy on the left, Reuven and Shimon, have the ability to say, we don't want this dayan. We don't like him. You want to say, who says that you can do something like that? You can't just passel another dayan. You can't say, oh, I don't like the way his beard looks. You have to say, you have a good reason. He's a relative, he's passel, he's an eved. Okay, good reason. It's important to remember this word here, the wording of the Mishnah. If they were kosher or mumchim, we're talking about a mumcha, professional dayan, mepi bezdin, and yachal apostle. Then you cannot say he's no good. The Gemara is going to use these words later. Say, look, we're talking about a professional. The Gemara wanted to say for a second, it's not a professional. The Gemara is going to say, well, maybe we don't really mean a professional. We mean somebody that the tzibur made him a professional. He's not a real professional. This is very hard to understand on the surface. What? I could just say that those witnesses that came to testify against me, I don't like them. So ishkoyach, every single time there's witnesses in court, I'll say, oh, I don't like them. They're not good people. Bring other witnesses. But there aren't other witnesses. Why should I have that ability? And the Gemara is going to say, no, that's not what he meant. No, you have the ability to say, you don't like those witnesses if you could prove that they're relatives or that they're apostle. But if they're good witnesses, you don't have the ability to make them apostle. Okay, so now let's dig into this Mishnah and see what we just read. Everything on the surface seems very difficult. By the way, yesterday I forgot just to show you this. Yoshi worked on it really hard, and sometimes I just.
So, I'm scheduling for tomorrow again at 1.
This is a king. Every day he needs a haircut, so he's scheduling. He's scheduling his haircut, Nechama, with the MDY thing. No, the beard you don't touch. But the hair is very, very short. I don't know if it's a 0, if it's a 1, but each hair touches the root of the other. Basically, he's bald and he's scheduling a haircut for tomorrow. Says the Gemara, what does it mean? So if we're going to talk about the Havamina, that what? Each person chooses an entire Bezdin, and together they choose another Bezdin. As the Gemara Davi's question, you don't need 9, 3 people is enough. Says the Gemara, if each person has a fight, and that happens a lot. I don't like that Bezdin. They're too machmer. I don't like this Bezdin. They're whatever. It's not my style. They're too Hasidish. They're too Litvish. I don't know what. So together they decide to choose another Bezdin. So we're going to knock the 2 Bati Dinim on the right and the left. We're going to knock them out of the picture, and we're going to be left with what? With one Bezdin. What? Does the borrower have the right to decide what Bezdin he wants to go to? So we have a machlokes, and the Gemara says that somebody has the ability to say, I only want to go to Yerushalayim. We live here in Bet Shemesh. I don't like Bet Shemesh. I want to go to the Bezdin Agadol, the big Bezdin in Yerushalayim. I want to go there. I want to go to the real court. Who has the ability to say it? So the Gemara says, Reb Eli holds it's only one out of the 2. It's the lender. The lender has the ability to force the borrower to travel all the way to Yerushalayim. In those days, it could be quite a trip. Today, it takes 25 minutes, 30 minutes by car, going 70 miles an hour. You can imagine with all the mountains, and by foot, maybe a few days, I don't know how long it took them. I could force you to go all the way to Yerushalayim, and that's from Bet Shemesh. I imagine if you lived in Tzfat or something. The loiva has no say. If the loiva wants to force the malva to go all the way to Yerushalayim, the malva says, no, I lent you money. It's enough that I lent you money. Now you're going to schlep me all the way over there? The pasuk says, Ve'eved loiva li'ish malva. You, borrower, you considered a slave here, something like this. If you borrow money, you're meshubah to the malva, not the other way around. Not so nice, but it's. I know it's not nice, but it's to lahamchish. It's to you get it. In terms of Mendy doesn't like, not approved by Mendy. So now we have to have a new thing. We have Ashi approved, Mendy not approved. I'll never get approval. I'll get a not approval. What? Ashi does no. What happens when you have machlokes Ashi and Mendy?
Don't be a lender.
No, you're allowed to borrow money. I borrow money. I have a lot of chayvus now, but I'm a eved to my lender. The only way to make money is to borrow money these days. That's right. You shouldn't feel that way, but you have to know that you are that way. Unfortunately, you don't decide. You don't dictate what bezdin you go to. He dictates. Okay, I'm getting it off the screen for you. If the loiva wants to go to another city, you say, no, you stay here in this city that I lent you the money in. So says the Gemara, when does the loiva have a right to protest? In her kais of Surya. So everybody here in the room thinks right away, what does her kais mean? Her kais means in a non-Jewish bezdin. No, it's a new concept. They have it even today, where 3 businessmen, people that are intellectuals, they get together, and people use them for advice, even in law, even in you have a shtickle, a bayrus. You go, you have a little problem with your neighbor, you don't have to go to a bezdin, you go to 3 people that are smart, and they understand in it. They're not the biggest Talmidei Chachamim. They make a lot of mistakes in halacha. They don't know all the Shulchan Aruch, but they're very good at these kind of things. They can figure things out. So that's Erkoisha Besurya. There are kais that were in Syria. Today we're talking about Syria. This, we're taking over Syria a little bit. We're not taking over, it's ours. We had it back in the day and it's ours today too. A kais of Syria. Shanu. So the Levi could say, you know what? It's not a true bezin. It's a make-believe bezin that people accept it upon themselves. I don't accept it. That he has a right. As much as he's a Eved, he has the right. Just like Reb Eli is going to say this idea later, so we're going to use this idea now. That what? That the Levi has the right to deny such a kais. You Malva want to bring me to your three neighbors who are geniuses, the big businessmen, each one owns a business and they mamish understand this stuff. No, I don't want to go there. Aval mumchim. But if he wants to schlep you to a bezin of professionals, a real bezin, loy, you don't have the right to deny it. Rapapa Omar, afilu tema mumchim. Keep talking about a bezdin of professionals. Kigoin, beidina de Rav Huna or the Rav Chizda. We're talking about regular bezdin. We have Rav Huna and Rav Chizda, which is a Rav and a Talmud really. And the Levi could say, I want to go to Rav Chizda, I don't want to go to Rav Huna. I had a bad experience once with Rav Huna, I want to go to Rav Chizda. And that's okay, why? It's not a big deal. Big deal, so you're going to go, you go to the other bezdin. It's not a big tircha. So there's a Maisa with the Sheva Chaim of Tzanz. He asked one of his Hasidim, do me a favor, and on condition that it's not too hard for you. It's not a tircha. So the Talmud said, okay. A few days later he said, no, did you do what I asked you to do? He said, no. The Rebbe said, if it's not a tircha, I do what the Rebbe said. And it happens to be it was a tircha. It was going to take me a bunch of hours, and that's a tircha. That the Rebbe said I shouldn't do. So he said, no. If you look in Taisus, in Sanhedrin, Daf Gimel, Taisus says, but wait a minute. How could Rav Chizda and Rav Huna have a bezdin how could Rav Chizda have a bezdin next to Rav Huna? You're not allowed to paskin halachas in front of your Rebbe. So must be, says Taisus, that they were 3 parsois away from each other. So says the Tzanz Rebbe, 3 parsois away from each other, that's quite a tircha. That'll take, back and forth, it'll take 2/3 of a day to get there, based on the whole calculation. Oh, so you see that 2/3 of a day is not a tircha. It says in the Gemara, it's not a tircha. Mikom a tirach nalach. Oh, so up to 2/3 of a day working for the Rebbe, that's not a tircha. Yeah, you say a full day, that's fine. That I believe is a tircha, but not 2/3. Tanan, it says in our Mishnah that the 2 dayanim get together and they pick a third. Now we're still trying to prove what we know. We come here, we're all Tamid Chachamim, we know Zabla means you pick one, I pick one, and together we pick a third. But how do we get there? Gemara is to teach us all the steps that Chachamim took to reach that conclusion. So if we're talking about that this one picked the whole bezdin, and this one picked the whole bezdin, and together they picked the third bezdin, bezdin basa the pasalu ozlu baralu beidin achrini. Here, you picked the bezdin on the top right. You picked the bezdin on the top left, and I said I don't like that bezdin in the 2 Litvish. You say you don't like that bezdin 2 Hasidish. So 2 dayanim from the bezdin, one dayan from the right, one bezdin from the left, they got together, and they chose a third bezdin for you. Does that make any sense? I said I don't like that bezdin. So he said, okay, we're not going to use that bezdin. You said you don't like that bezdin, we're not going to use that. So you're going to take 2 people from 2 Batei Dinim that we don't like, together we don't like them, and they're going to decide for us who we're going to use. That makes absolutely no sense. So man, it doesn't make sense that we're talking about a full bezdin here. Void. Is this a must in every single din Torah? I must go ahead and start. What if you chose everything for me and everything's on a silver platter? You said just show up to bezdin. Yeah, I'm sure people had that situation here. The guy says, hey, let's go to. He's a great Rav. He's a great bet. Let's go over there. He said, okay, let's go. No, the Mishnah says no. I have to choose, and you have to choose, and we have to do a whole situation. And we should both argue that I don't like this bezdin, and Mamela together we're going to come up with a third bezdin. And if you don't go through that whole process, no good. Oh, so now finally we're here. This is Zabla. You pick one dayan, and I pick one dayan. Ze barloi dayan echad. Ze barloi dayan echad. Shneim barlem oid echad. And together we pick a third. They say in English, you can pick your friends and you can pick your nose, but you can't pick your friend's nose. You can pick your dayan, and your friend can pick his dayan, but you can't pick your friend's dayan. Oh, no, you can pick your dayan, and together you can pick the third dayan, but you can't pick your friend's dayan. Okay, it's not gonna work. Not gonna work. Not gonna work. Okay, it's a big musahaskal. You can't pick your friend's nose. Reb Eli said you can't pick your friend's nose. All right, Zok the Gemara. Who knows? No, I'm going to change it. It's not called Mendi, not approved. It's Mendi Weiter. We have to no. Let's go. Amri ben Marov v'shmei Reb Zera. Oh no, sorry, I missed 2 words. Maishnu da'avdi hachi. Why do you have to do it this way? Amri ben Marov v'shmei Reb Zera. If we do it this way, that you pick a dayan and I pick a dayan, and together we pick the third. This is how we're going to achieve a real din Torah. Why? Says Rashi, because everybody's going to listen now. The Savar, Hachayev, the guy that was found guilty, or Chayev, it's my fault, it's not my fault. I actually brought this dayan. And if he goes against me, obviously it's right. And if he would be able to find something, it's not, look, Al Pi Torah, the dayan has to be a 100% glatt. But he thinks to himself, look, I brought the guy that's my style, everything is great. If he could have found something, he would have found it. And the dayanim together, they want to come together and find the zechus for everybody. Each one tries to be mahapach b'zechus. I had a moirdik of Maisi yesterday. Mamish moirdik. And the story keeps on getting better and better. Musar Haskell, sitting here in Shachris yesterday, and a guy was going around collecting money with our pushkas, helping, you go during Ashri, mizakeh da'olam tzedakah. So he's a little bit of a letz, and he went to a guy sitting next to him. He says, no, and he says so and so. No, why don't you give some money? You want to give a donation? And the guy says, chavnisht. And then he goes over things, zets on his back, and he says something to him. And at the time, I was like, wow, the guy that he just did it to, he brought one of his good friends that was never here, first time he was here. And I felt bad, kind of like, it looked like the guy was being he's making him look like a stingy person. He doesn't want to give. Now, a lot of people don't give, in the middle of davening and this and that. So it happened to be that I saw that guy that didn't give. I saw him looking in his pockets before, and he actually did give a few of the people that came before, but he ran out. So I was just thinking to myself, wow. Then I thought another thought. I said, whoa, Benny Rodnick came to me the night before, which was less than 12 hours before, and told me that guy that didn't give anything, he gave $1,000 to MDY, anonymous. And his name is going to be anonymous from RBS. That's what he told me. Anytime you see anonymous from RBS, that's this guy. So I said over to this Maisa last night, this year, you have to be mahapich b'schos. You see a guy, you think to yourself, maybe he's stingy, or maybe he doesn't have money, I don't know what but not only he didn't give a shekel, but he gave 3,700 shekel. 3,700, more than you thought. More, because if he would have given a shekel, the guy would have been very happy. That's all he cares about, shekel from each guy. 3,700. So the guy tells me after the shir, he says, here's what's even more interesting. That my credit card charge went through at 8:38. He showed me on his phone, 8:38. That's the exact minute that guy knocked him on the shoulder and asked him for the shekel. So the story keeps on getting better. After this year, we're going to have another Eisafa. Anyway, fine. But you should always be down like Kaschos. You see the guy going like this. He might be going like this. I don't know. No. He just gave 10 hours ago, or that minute. Lefi, different cheetahs. And later on, in 100 years from now, when they say over the shir, there's going to be machloikis. Did he give the night before, or did he give on that minute? But whatever. Got
nothing left to put in the push.
we said that each person, he goes and gets a dayan, and the two dayanim say chachamim, they get another dayan. Name it the Rabbi Yehuda Marav Kamifli. Interesting machlokes. Tamar Rabbi Yehuda Marav. You got to be careful when you sign a shtar. They say about the stipler, if they came to him with like one of these kol kaira, you have to go to here, you have to vote, I don't know what. He took a look at it. If Shach signed in it, boom, he signed right away. He didn't ask any questions. You have to know who your company is, because if they knock one of them, everybody gets knocked. If we could pass a 1-8, all day they become pasul. If we pass a 1 dayan, all the dayanim become pasul. So I need to know who the other people are. Huh? Let's see. Why? Because it's bottled the whole thing. Reb Meir, Leslie the Rav Yehuda Marav. Reb Meir doesn't hold of this. Rabbanon Isluhu the Rav Yehuda Marav. In other words, we have a machlokes. Do the dayanim choose the third dayan or not? The dayanim have to. Here we're talking about dayanim. The dayanim have to know who the third dayan is. Says Gemara Leilui. The kul alma Islu the Rav Yehuda Marav. Everybody holds that a dayan needs to know who his other dayan. V'das hadayanim kul alma loy pligi d'beinin. You need that the dayanim should agree to the third. Ki pligi. Das balidinim. Do we need the agreement of the two people, Reuben and Shimon, the balidinim, that the dayanim have to agree? That everybody agrees. Reb Meir Sobar das balidinim nami binan. Rabbanan Savri das dayanim binan. Das balidinim loy binan. Dayanim. So, Nechama. Everybody agrees that a dayan and a dayan have to agree on the third dayan. I don't want to sit on a bezdin where the third dayan is here. He did a picture. Gets like, who is this guy? I don't want to sit with him. He might not be the best dayan. But do the balidinim have to agree to each other? To the third dayan? That's a machlokes. By the way, I need to stop here for a second before I forget. Shmois is the Rosh Tevis Shnai Mikro V'Echad Targum. There are people, in the last week, a few people came over to me. People I didn't believe. It doesn't matter. It doesn't go by looks. You can look like a big Talmud Chacham. You can look like a big Haaretz. People told me it's the first time in my life I'm doing Shnai Mikro. I made it through Bereshis. So it's a great time to push it again. If you didn't start, here, Shmois is coming up now. Get on the bandwagon. It's another thing. Once you get this a great habit of, if you just started Sanhedrin, you should know by the end of Sanhedrin, if you could stick it out to the end of Sanhedrin, through all these kinds of dapim, everything, you will acquire a habit for life. And once you acquire that habit, you could add other habits. You can start doing exercise, you can start doing Shnai Mikra, do all sorts of Givaldic stuff. So, says the Gemara, wait a minute, I just saw somebody I didn't recognize. You, all the way in the corner, you're new?
Yeah. Check out the upstairs.
Do you have anything to do with building this building? Well, Robert Links is here.
Seeing if it's the 50 for Brussels and still.
Huh?
Seeing if it's the 50 for Brussels and still.
You're not here since Brachas. Did you take a little?
Seeing if it still fits the 50 from Brussels.
Ah. He speaks English. Robert, I just want to tell you something, that when we were sitting down those days planning this Beis Medrash, most of the people in the Beis Medrash said that I'm crazy for trying to build such a large Beis Medrash, they said. You remember?
I was telling everyone the story.
That what?
We had the old room in Chaniche.
Yeah.
People.
You're right.
You think by Brussels, the shit's going to get a bit bigger. Maybe we should aim for 50 people maximum.
That's what I said?
That's what he said. That's what we did.
No. We did 80.
75, you said.
Oh, here, that's more like it. I said 75. I never said 50 because we already had in Chaniche, we had days we had over 40 people. 45, here. Rabbi Schoenberg will be made, 45. Okay. You gotta think big. And big sometimes is not 80. Big is like, we had literally 4 or 5 times this week since Motzei Shabbos, the 2 Motzei Shabbos Yom, even in Hebrew, 0 seats. People were standing. We had one day like almost 10 people were standing. It's not enough. And then they're going to start saying, oh, we have to expand. I don't think so. Then they're going to take that video that I said, I don't think so, and said, look, here, it's after the expansion. He said, I don't think so, okay? Because no, in the scene, they just said, I said, I'm not going to do Hebrew. I don't think so. Zog the Gemara, never going to happen. Where it gets wide. The pure-minded people of Yerushalayim, this is what they would do. Rabbi say, check this out. I know that this irks you a lot. This Rosh Hashiva with a black beard, he's about 29 years old in a long frock, walks into the simcha, and he looks around, and he doesn't want to sit on this table, then he doesn't want to sit on that table, and finally he finds all the guys with the white beards, the chashuvim, and he makes sure what's going on here, and it bothers you. I know it bothers you. Like what? Is he a balgaiva? Chas v'shalom. He's an anav. He's an anav. He's makbid on halacha. The halacha says that a chashuva guy should not be sitting with amaratim, and he doesn't want to sit with the common folk. He's makbid on halacha. Don't look at him like that. Here's the halacha right here. We're going to learn it right here. As I was walking up the steps, a big Talmud Chacham from the Shir, he knows many Mesechus Baal Peh, and I told him this Gemara. So he told me that he once invited one of the Rabbanim in the city. He says, I'll only come if you tell me exactly who's sitting on the table. I need to know, because the guy's makbid on the halacha. He won't come if on the table he's going to sit next to Amaratzim. Zokter. We have mamish people that know halacha, and they're makbid on the halacha. They wouldn't, a person in Yerushalayim wouldn't sign an ashtar unless he knew him. And they wouldn't sit in the Torah unless they knew what the other dayanim were. Oh, this is good, Rabbi said. Listen to this. They wouldn't go into a meal. They need to know, they need to call before, make sure that the table is full of Talmidei Chachamim, roy for them. So it does say in the Mishnah Berurah, la halacha. It's also for a Talmud Chacham to sit with Amaratzim. And he says even in the Sudas Mitzvah, so you go to a chasana, you go to a siyum, whatever you go to, you cannot sit. And then he sticks in the bir halacha. It's very interesting. But if you're there to raise money, you had some sort of dinner, and this is going to help you raise. So you can sit with those gvir shamaratzim. That's okay, he says. Now I got to preface this. I just had I have these conversations. They drive me crazy. I'm talking to a guy. The brim of his hat was much bigger than mine. He was imamish, it was stained and everything. He's a yeshiva-ish, gor yeshivish. But the guy admits to me he hasn't opened up a sefer in 30 years. But these guys, they inside, for whatever reason, they trick themselves. They think they're more chashiv. They're more chashiv than you. They look down at you. You're not as chashiv as them. You don't have the same hat, the same this. You're not makbid on all these chumras that they're makbid. But he's a garnished. He hasn't opened up a sefer. He doesn't know how to read. He hasn't opened up anything. And he looks down at you. So that being said, I want to show you this beautiful video they did here. Don't judge the book by its cover.
David Schnitzberg, you can sit over here. I'm one of the Nikiyei Hadas of Yerushalayim. I don't sit next to just anyone.
I heard that. Okay, let's talk in learning and see if I'm an Amoritz. What would you like to talk about? Would you like to talk about leap year calculations? Iber Hashana? What is a Tarsha and a Mashkanta below Nakiyasa? Or maybe how something becomes Mukshur L'Kabal Tumah? Or maybe Eided Zomin. You probably won't like the picture of the Hasidim on the ship.
You keep scaring away my customers.
Another one that hasn't opened the Gemara for 30 years because he only learns Be'iyan. And he calls himself Nikiyei Hadas of Yerushalayim?
David, what are you learning in the middle of my video? What? You gotta see it. You gotta enjoy it. Anyway, I hope it wasn't too stark, but I didn't stick in the piece of the Eon thing. But you get the point. The point is, there's a lot of people that live in dreamland because they learned in yeshiva 20 years ago, so they think they're more chashav and No, just sit down and learn. Halavai. After a few years of you sitting down and learning, you should know half of that balabat sham haaretz that you look down at. Halavai. So says the Gemara. I didn't want to say this yesterday. They forced me to say it, and then they laughed. So I said, okay, fine. The Noda Yehuda saw a guy passing a din by himself. So he said, what you're doing is also la'alacha. So the guy said, no, I'm here actually with three. It's me, my Gemara, and the Shulchan Aruch. So the Noda Yehuda said, yeah, that's very good. But it says in the Gemara that you have to know the two people that are with you. Weiter. And also, a little bit of an akuda of a Dvar Musar, not Musar, a Geshmak. There was a guy who they tried to bring him to the Beis Medrash to learn. He said, nah, it's not for me. I don't understand most of it. I actually had one of these emails today that I wanted to read. The guy says, I just started, I'm 23 days into it. I barely get what's going on, but I feel good. I get one little nikuda. Slowly, I'm getting better. So he ran away and he sat in a bar. And when he's in the bar, the Kazakhs came in there and they started beating everybody up, including him. So he said, but I'm not part of their chabura, I'm a Jewish. He said, no. Anybody here is part of their group. So he came back to the Beis Medrash and he said, even if I don't know how to learn, but I'm part of that. I want to be part of the learning group. So I don't understand everything. I'm part of the group. Sometimes I sleep during shir. Sometimes I don't understand the whole shir, but I'm part of the group. Meisa be mine. Huh?
You may make other people walk out.
Why?
They don't want to go
with him. Zeh poisel dayanai. Says the Gemara, it says in the Mishnah that each person could say the other dayan is no good. How could you passel a dayan? And this is where Reb Eli comes up with this vart that we're talking about 3 Jews that get together in Syria and they paskin for people, but they're not the real deal. But if they're professionals, you cannot passel them. Says the Gemara, let's read the Mishnah. The Mishnah says, when you bring a raya that they are pasul and relatives, great. But if they were mumchim, if they're real mumchim, you can't passel them. But they argue Remeir. Remeir is talking about professionals as well, that you could make them pasul. So Gemara, no. If you want to say pshalach mumchim, they become like mumchim, and that would mean even, says Rashi, yoshvi kronos. The worst of the worst, the lady gayer from the corner, the guy that sits on the corner and smokes all day, he could be a mumcha if you decide he's a mumcha. You take him upon yourself that he should make a din Torah. Even a guy like that, if you accept him upon yourself, you can't pass them. Toshma, Amr Leilui Reb Meir. It says before in the Brisa, the Reb Meir was talking about a mumcha. Says Gemara, no. The tzibur made him a dayan, similar to here in Eretz Yisrael. There's 2 ways that you can become I'm just thinking about Meir Dambi. He was here last night and today's like literally word for word came out. I'm thinking, what happened to all those seats over there? They all got up and left? That's crazy. One day it's like this, one day it's like that. So, no, in order to be a city rabbi, so either you have to go through the rabbanut, which is a very, very tedious process of tremendous amount of tests, or if you happen to be a rabbi in a shul for a while, then they could give you a salary. So that's what this is. This is imchu rabbim. When the tzibur takes upon himself, they say, this guy didn't test him, but he's our rabbi. Okay. We learned like this as well. The guy, the defendant could say, no, I don't like him, until once he's a mumcha, he's a professional, you cannot passel him according to Remeir. Ask the Gemara. Okay, great. So hold on a second. But what about Eidim? People that are testifying. Did anybody ever go to school to testify? No. You are an aid, and you saw it, and you are considered a professional aid. You don't take a test to be Eidim. You're aid. You see, you don't have to be a professional. Even an aid, you could passel without saying anything. Now, the whole thing doesn't make sense. 2 people come in and testify against you, and you're going to say, no, I don't like them? We explained it already. Remeir with the holy mouth, he'll say such a silly thing. Impossible. You cannot passel them. What could you do? Tani eidai, it's lashon yachid, it's singular. I could passel one aid, and the Gemara is going to explain what does it mean, one aid. Shlomo Zalman Auerbach, he asked right over here in this Gemara, Pek Kodesh Yom Dov Zeh. A guy, if Remeir has a holy mouth, so he's not going to make a mistake. What's the connection? Pek Kodesh. Remeir, the Gadol, he'll say something like that, but what's Pek Kodesh? So he says yes. When a person is makbid not to talk any shtusim from his mouth and only talk Torah, so he has a special Siyata Dishmaya, because Baruch Hu helps him, that what comes out of his mouth is pure and without mistakes. Mistake-free. Because he has a Pek Kodesh. It doesn't make sense that Remeir would say something like that. That when two Eidim come and testify against you, you could say, no, I don't want you guys. I don't like you. Of course you're going to say, everybody's going to say that. One Eid, yes, but where? We're talking about a monetary dispute. Rachmana Pasle. Where's the Torah saying that you're not allowed to hear? Better than that. One is no good. Then the Torah says, but don't even show up here. What are you doing? If he came to testify that somebody is Chayv Shvuah, he is believed like two. It says he came for Mammon, but the pasuk says one guy is no good for Mammon. New Yisaid Rabbi Isai. I can accept upon myself one guy like two. I say, you bring one witness, I'll accept him like two. I accepted it. The problem is that we already said this halacha. Then in such a situation, when you have one guy that's equal to two, according to a mayor, he could take it back. He could retract. No, you know what? I thought you're not going to find anybody. Now they saw that you found this guy. I don't like him. What's the chiddush? Tanina. When it comes to be a judge, I trust my own father. He's a good judge. He's a judge in Tel Aviv. I accept him now. Between me and you, I'll accept him. Or your father. Your father's a great judge. I heard he has a good name. I accept him. It's not such a big thing. We're only arguing over $500. You know what? I take your father. 3 Amaratzim, shepherds. They don't know anything about halacha. You could do that. But at the last second, you can retract. So we already have this halacha that you can retract. Again, the case is where I accept upon myself a judge. We have two judges, and the third one is my father, your father, or a shepherd. So I already have two cases. So if I say I accept one person as a witness, I could retract. Just like I could retract if I accept upon myself one judge. Says the Gemara, is the big difference maybe between a judge and a witness. The case of I accept upon myself your father and my father as a judge. Rabbanan said I cannot retract. I was very surprised when I saw this. I was thinking the exact opposite svara of the Gemara, but I'm wrong. I thought that a father is mamash apostle. He's kroivim. And an aid is great, just he's one. The Gemara says the exact opposite. An aid is nothing. One aid is nothing. A father is a great judge. He's been doing this his whole life. He judges people. Just what? He's biased. And there's a gzeres hakasav that he's biased. So I would think, since he's great for the whole world, he's a real judge, so maybe you can use him here. And I cannot retract. But one person, now you accepted him like two Eidim, great. But nowhere in the world does it work, 1 equals 2. Maybe Chacham would agree that he can retract. He cannot retract even by 1 aid. And we just said this case of 1 aid, I accept upon myself 1 aid to be like 2. But Remeir says in this case that you could retract. Why? Because nowhere else in the world is 1 aid equal to Eidim. But in the case of a father who's a great judge, he has good common sense, he knows halacha inside out. The whole world uses him. Maybe Remeir will agree that you cannot retract. You could retract. I need both cases. It says Gemara, the yanai means one die in singular. V'seifa, a dove. Now you can't make excuses. Before we were saying, you know what? The word a dove, plural, doesn't mean 2, it means 1. I accepted 1 as 2. So you want no. When you have in the same sentence, it's in the same Mishnah, it says singular, and then all of a sudden it goes to plural. Now the Mishnah is being serious. The first case is one aid, one dayan, and the second case is two aidim. You can't start telling me that it means one. The Mishnah is saying straight out two, a dove. Where a second before that it says dayan noi, which is singular. So you see the Mishnah is makbid. You want, because people used to memorize things, right? And everything has to flow well. So if you're saying singular and singular, okay. Plural and plural makes sense. But to start switching a lashon in a sentence and say singular and then plural, that means we mean business. We mean this is singular and this is plural. I'm a dafka katani. Omer Lazar. He's not coming to push off the eidos. What happened was, this Baldin is not saying, oh, I don't like this aid. He's coming to testify with another person against the aid. Oh, that's different. What happened? How could you do something like that? How could you testify against Eidim? Two Eidim come and say, you owe $1 million, and you say, oh, I think that you're a mamzer. I think you're a neved. Shkoyach. Yeah, of course you're going to say that. They're testifying against you that you owe $1 million. So I've never seen a more biased thing in my life. You're going to testify against that aid, that he's puzzled? I'm not saying that in this case he's wrong. I'm saying his whole character is off. How does that help exactly? We'll see. I'm saying this guy's always puzzled. What happened? Eli mirrored the guy's lanusa, a guy who steals. A guy who steals is puzzled like this everywhere. What's a good example of a guy that steals? Oh, we have mamish, my pet peeve. Shopping carts. Or the guy that walks out of the bismerish with cups and, hold on, here he is. He's a box of brogelach. Oh, just to give some people a box of pizza. Nunus, I took a few cups and some coffee. I'm going to Steig and learning. Yeah, my pet peeve. No, it's a guy, when I was doing the Thursday night shiurim, people took from my kitchen, they went into my kitchen, I saw this with my own eyes, they took full boxes of cakes, like closed cakes, they took the whole thing home. So the shiur is over, he doesn't need a mistama. He needs it for Shabbos, who said? I almost had to close down the shiur. I'll just say this real quick. I had to close down the shiur. My wife, there was like a Shalom Zachar somewhere or whatever, bris. So my wife made this giant thing with cake and everything, with the wrapper and a nice bow. And she left it in the kitchen. So a guy gets up from the table, goes to my kitchen, opens it up, and takes the cookies out. She said, I can't do the shiur anymore. You can't have these people. What are these? Behemoths, Chayas? No, they just thought everything's theirs. There was like an open avirah. Take whatever you want. Yeah. Zog the Gemara. The guy that steals ragalach from the shul. What do you mean? But he's still biased. Elo. You're claiming the guy's a slave. So what's the machlokes? I didn't say that he's a slave. I said his father's a slave. Yeah, you're testifying about his father, but at the end of the day, it turns out that he's a slave also, and it's ruining the testimony, and therefore you're going to come out not owing the guy $1 million. So this is a beautiful machlokes. Mamish very negela ma'isa, but it's new. We actually had this at the end of Bava Basra, so it might be familiar to you. When a guy claims, I have 4 Eidim that saw this. Sometimes people exaggerate a little and say, I have 4, you think that this is what everybody saw it. How many people? 4. When you say 4, you just mess yourself up. In other words, you have to now produce 4. You said 4, bring all 4. Oh. And it's counterintuitive, because if I said all 4, it actually helps me out. Because now I said all 4, I'll have to bring 4. But 2 of them, I can testify against them. I'll say that they're slaves. Why? Because it's not biased. Yeah, they're slaves, and we'll get rid of them. But now, since I have to bring all 4, so bring the other 2, and they're 2 good Eidim. I'll have 2 good Eidim. So that's the machlokes here. Tzarech levarer means you have to produce what you say. If you say there's 6, bring 6. You say there's 100, bring 100. You don't bring 100, get out of here. Says Rameir, if there's only 2 Eidim, then you cannot say that one of them is a Eved or something. What if there's only one? In other words, there's only 2 Eidim, which doesn't make any sense, as the Gemara asks immediately. You just said what the halacha is. If there's 2 people, you cannot make a psul. No, this is what I meant to ask. I say there's 4 Eidim. So Mamela, I could go to town against 2. I could say, oh, he's a Eved, he's a terrible person, he's a guy. Okay, and I said it's okay. So now what am I left with? These 2, let's do it like this. I say these guys are Avadim, and I have to bring these 2. Okay, so I could talk about these guys because I have 2 more guys. So I bring these guys to Bezdin. Turns out that these 2 guys in Bezdin, they are also no good. Now, can I go back over here and say, we don't accept your testimony against them? Because I need to come on to these 2 Eidim. What's the halacha? Once we make them puzzle, you can't undo it. You can't retract that edus. The same answer, but with a different name. Unfortunately, I think we might have to stop here. Wow. Rabbi Sai, have a wonderful day.